Hey, what's going on everyone? This is the Magic Jellybean here. I'm going to teach you how to do an oil change today. I specifically am riding a CB500F. This really pertains to all motorcycles. If you happen to have a CB500F, congratulations. This is the exact model I'm going to be working on. It's all generally the same. You're going to want to get your bolt off. You're going to want to drain the oil. And then you're going to want to take your filter off, get the oil off of that, put everything back together, put new oil in it. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to achieve that. Make sure you like, subscribe. That's what the cool kids do here on this channel. Now that that's out the way, let's go ahead and get started with the video. Here's exactly what you'll need. You'll need an oil drain pan. You're going to want a funnel. I can fill my oil without it, but funnels definitely make life easier. Here we have 10W40. I live in Florida, so it gets pretty dang hot. So 10W40 is a lot better than 10W30. And then I have here, you're going to want a way to get your oil filter off. Whether that be one of these caps here that matches your filter, or you can just get an oil wrench, which you can use for all sizes. I specifically have this because it matches with both my bikes and my car. Yes, I have a second bike. I'm not going to show it to you yet, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is, there's a little drain pan bolt under here somewhere. Let me see if I can show you. Somewhere under here. Oh, there it is. Right there. If you see that, we're going to take that off. First we're going to get our bike here on the bike stand, which you'll also need, and then we're going to slide this under, and then we're going to simply drain the oil. I specifically don't need to take my filter off this time. I usually only take my filter off every other oil change, so I'm just showing you here just for the purpose of the information, but I will not be taking my filter off today, but I'll still show you how I do it. Also, you're going to want a glove. Gloves are just generally helpful. Ideally, you want to wear like a latex glove, you know, the things that doctors wear and nurses, but this is just about all I have. You just want to protect yourself from the oil. My bike is really warmed up, so if you haven't started your bike, I don't recommend doing this cold. Start it up for at least 2-3 minutes, let it run, get the oil a little lukewarm, and then turn it off, and then you can proceed with the oil change. It makes it a lot easier. If the oil is cold, and what happens is all that grain and stuff is still going to be a little too solid. Kind of like if you put grease in the refrigerator, how it solidifies up a little. You want to get your grease warm, basically. Of course, before I begin, let me actually show you how I know that it's time for an oil change. Okay, so here's your oil filler level. Whoops. Just armed my alarm here. So what you want to do is I'm going to take my bike, if you can see up here, I'm going to grab it, pull it towards me so I can get it level. I'm holding the brake. This is a little rough on stuff, and as you can see, this is right about where it's level. So I have good enough oil, but the problem is that if you look at that, that's really murky and black. Let me tilt it towards me. So this oil is definitely due for a change. It's supposed to be like a lighter brown tone, and you'll see that once I actually get this new oil in here. So this is pretty daunting when you're doing it by yourself, but I promise you it's easy once you get the hang of it. So you want to straighten your wheel out, lift this up. You can just pull from the seat here. I know a lot of people take the strap out. I specifically kept it in because it helps me hold this. And all you're going to want to do is line this up right here on both sides. And then what you want to do is push down. That's all there is to it. Okay, so if you ever know which way to turn left to loose, right to tighten. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So in this case, you could use a ratchet. I have a ratchet wrench. This is going to be the most useful. There we go. I broke it. Okay. And at this point, it just kind of twists off. I'm going to turn this around. Even though this is going to spew out this way, gravity is going to bring it over here. So, just planning for the future. If you can, always try to aim it in the hole. That way your pan doesn't get dirty. Just little things that I worry about. Not that it matters. And we're going to keep turning this. There we go. Maybe I should have just used the socket, huh? Too lazy. There we go. Okay, now it's moving. Yeah, okay, here we go. And this is what the glove's for. There it is. If your drain plug falls in there, that's okay, because we can always go rescue it later. There it is. So, my glove's a little nasty. This is why I say to wear gloves, unless you just want to mess with oil. I'm done with the glove now. I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna go wash it when I get home. So we're just gonna let this thing drain for about 20 minutes. As you can see, there's our little friend. We took that off, so now it's draining. If you can look closely, there's like a little washer right there. That washer helps to keep fluid in there. So you definitely want to make sure you get that washer. Don't forget about it. We're just going to let this sit for a while. We're going to move this up now, because as you can see, you always want to aim it wherever it's shooting at. If you want to, you can replace this washer every time. I personally only replace it, once in a while, like maybe 5 changes later, because they're metal washers now, and they're not crush washers, they're just normal washers, so you can reuse them. But of course, if you're really OCD about your maintenance, go ahead and buy a new washer if you want to. I just don't think it's worth it, especially not with these newer bikes. This is a 2017 model. These things are just indestructible. So we're going to let this drain for another 5 minutes or so. We're going to turn the engine on. We're going to rev it maybe twice just to get the extra oil out. Then we're going to turn it back off again. So we're going to fire it up once, give it a couple revs, and then shut it back down just to get that extra oil out. You'll see in a second all that oil that will start to spew out. Yep, there it is. There's a little bit more. So we're gonna give it another 5 minutes and I'll be right back. And hey, while I'm here, even though I'm not, like I said, taking my filter off this time, let me go ahead and show you, or at least kind of briefly explain how you end up actually taking this off. So the reason I actually have this tool is because this tool right here, let me see, this tool, you can literally just stick it right on there, like so. And what you do is you just get a little, you get a ratchet. I think this is a 3/8 drive. This is a 3/8 inch drive. This is a 1/4 inch ratchet, but I'm just going to show you basically what happens is, see, this is obviously too small, but all you do is you ratchet it off and then you ratchet it back on. So this is really nice. Some bikes, you don't have clearance to do this, so an oil wrench is better because you can slip it in there. There's no clearance for this to actually put a ratchet here because you have 4, like if you have an inline 4-cylinder, you're obviously not going to have this space here. So it's very nice that they threw these off to the side for this oil change here. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, I'm not taking my filter off this time. Factory recommends you do it every other time, so there's no need to actually do that right now. Now that your filter is theoretically off and you put a new one on, the last step, which you will barely be able to see, but I'm doing it right here, is to get your nut right back on. There we go. So you're going to get your nut on here. If you really so desire, you can consult your torque specs. I just get this on here real firm, like so. And then go ahead and just give it a good wipe, just to clean it. And that's it. So always make sure that your nut is on, your filter is on before you begin draining, before you begin adding new oil. Now that we know that everything is on, according to my factory manual, which you should definitely consult, if I don't take the filter off, I should put 2.9 quarts of oil in here. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this. And even if you're off, you can always just check the oil drain levels and just make sure that you don't fill it past the top line. This is totally possible, but it's definitely a lot easier with a funnel. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this funnel in place like so with one hand. And then with the other hand, begin pouring. And I'm looking on the outside to make sure that no oil is leaking out. And as you can see, if you're looking at this color of the oil here, you can see how it's a lot lighter brown. This is how oil should look if it's good. So if you ever check your oil and it doesn't look at least, a little bit light, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, because over time it's going to get worse. But you definitely want to make sure that that your oil is not bad. And I'm watching the oil level here. Even though I know this is 2 quarts, I'm making sure that I don't overfill it. So we're gonna get everything out of it that we possibly can. Here comes round 2. So the reason I said it's okay to fill it a little, as long as you don't go over this line, is because when you actually run the bike, and I'm going to show you in a second here, and I'm going to go ahead and clean the crankcase right here, just to make sure nothing gets dirty. Good. Clean that right there. See, we've filled it up right about halfway. So I'm gonna turn the bike on and I'm gonna show you how this is actually gonna sink down a little bit. Here we go. See that? Now we don't have enough oil. And now if we turn it off, the oil will return somewhat, but it's not going to really come back, you know, as much as we need to. So I'm going to put a little more in there now. So now that I've ran the bike and that every internal part has the oil that it needs, I'm going to fill it up until I get almost, I like to fill it up closer to the top than keep it in the middle. The guidelines are as long as you're in here, you're fine. It's always better to have too much than not enough. Unless you're a racer, because if you're a racer, you just want as little oil as possible. I usually have another funnel with me. This one's actually a little too big, right here. Normally I have a skinnier funnel that works better, but this is all I have today. You know, I wish these came on with like a bolt or something, because I don't like the fact that, you know, anybody can just come and twist this off. Of course, that's not a problem because I live in a garage, but you know, I mean, people will do anything these days. But here we go. So there's our oil level now. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to see what happens. Pretty good, but we still need a little more oil. Still need a little more. Because when it's running, you want it to be there right in the middle. Here we go. And yeah, that's good enough. So that's where I want it, right there. So that's where I want it when it's running, right in the middle. So that's pretty nice. And it's gonna fill back up obviously, but that's okay. As long as it's not up here, like past this mark when it's actually running, then it's fine. So guys, that's pretty much textbook definition of how to change your oil. I'm pretty much done here. Look out for the next video. I'm gonna actually do my chain next, obviously not in this video. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or look them up on the internet like I did. I am the Magic Jellybean. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.